Hey everyone! So today I am going to be doing something a little different but not quite different. This is along the same lines of Top 5 Wednesday. It is another recommendations group. This is monthly recommendations. This group was created by Trina from Between Chapters and Kayla Rain from Kayla Rain. She's just Kayla Rain. I'm partial to her because she's got the same name as me. Each month they have different themes and they recommend books based on those themes. Like the month of February was Not Another Love Story, which I really liked because you know how I feel about love stories and the unnecessary part of them in some stories. It was good to see a few book recommendations not about love. That's pretty fine by me. This month's theme is Standalones, and so I perused my bookshelves and did a little bit of rearranging because I was looking for a particular book. It wasn't until after the fact I realized, oh yeah, I lent it to a friend of mine. Today I have 11 books to share with you. First, I'm going to share the one I lent to my friend before I forget it because I don't have a physical copy here to remind myself to tell you about it, and that is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. This is an amazing magical realism story, and it's a story about generations. The story goes through, there's Ava Lavender herself, and she was born with wings, and the story revolves around her great-grandmother, her grandmother, her mother, and herself, and the situations and things that led up to the story of the current situation, which is basically, this is Ava Lavender and she's got wings. What's up with that? I thought the story was very, very beautiful. I really enjoyed the magical realism aspect of it. Of course, if you are not really into magical realism, then might not be a book for you, especially if you take things a little too metaphorically when they should be taken literally, but I overall enjoyed this story a lot. Next we have The Timekeeper by Mitch Albom. This is very much a Prometheus-like story. This is a story of three people, basically. You have one of the main characters' name is Dor, and he is essentially Father Time. He discovers time itself. He lives in a world where people don't really count time, and time is not something in their vocabulary. And through experimentation and counting, he discovers that time exists and therefore is punished for it by God, and he banishes Dor into this cave where he is bound to watch time forever. Then you have a story of a young teenage girl who just wants time to quicken up and let's get going. Like I'm a teenager, let's get this going. And then you have an elderly man who is dying of cancer and really just wants a little bit more time. This is a very interesting story of the three of them, and if they were to interact with each other, who knows? Next we have Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This is a story about a girl called Lydia, and we know that she dies, and this is a story revolving around her and her family, around her death, how her parents met. This is very family orientated story and sort of like a mystery to figure out how the heck she came to die the way she did, whether it was a suicide or an accident or whatever. It deals with loss and grief and just trying to figure out life in the midst of what just happened. The next two recommendations are both a middle grade read, and this is by an author called John Boyne. You have The Boy in the Striped Pajamas and Stay Where You Are and Then Leave. I really enjoyed both of these stories and putting them together because of the same author. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is about two boys, one who is living in Auschwitz and the other who's living in Auschwitz but on the other side of the fence. So it deals with like a German boy and a Jew boy, their friendship, the understanding of bigger problems in the eyes of a child. I thought this was very interesting story and a little bit heartbreaking, just going into this knowing you will feel things. You will feel the feels. I almost went into like a little bit of a book hangover for this, but if it wasn't for the fact that I was in a reading marathon, I pushed through it, or I would have just been like, what is my life? This one deals with, I think, World War I. This is also middle grade, and it deals with a boy whose father goes away to war. Inevitably, he is told that his father has died, or at least is missing, and he's probably never coming home, and he just doesn't understand that, and later discovers that he finds his father home, sort of, but in an institution. So this deals with a lot with PTSD and shell shock, and a boy just figuring things out in the world. This next book is a standalone, but I kind of wish it was a series because I kind of want more in this world. And that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is a phenomenal book. A phenomenal book. This is one of my favorite books ever. The world that it takes place in, the virtual world that it takes place in, the relationships involved, and the suspense, what's gonna happen, a race against time. I really, really like this book. I'm sure you've heard of it. And if you're into audiobooks, audiobook is narrated by Will Wheaton, so there's that. The next book is Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher. This is a book about a girl who meets an actor and they fall in love with each other. It's a lot of dealing with poor girl, rich guy, complex. At the same time, it also deals with a lot of other different types of relationships, like between mother and daughter, and between friends, and finding your place in the world. I thought this was a very cute story, and you know how I am about fuzzy cute stories. I'm not into them, but I really like this. This book made me cry so much. I enjoyed the romance aspect of the book, but I also enjoyed the other relationships, which helped a lot with this book and not being one of those frou-frou contemporaries that are on everyone's list. Next we have The Dead House by Don Kurtagich. If you like Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, you might like this book, and the fact that the formatting is the same, sort of. And I said formatting really weirdly just now. This is told in like transcripts, diary entries, police records, a video that's being transcribed on what they see. Basically, this is about two girls who are present in the same body, essentially. So you're thinking maybe multiple personality kind of thing. One girl is present during daylight hours and the other girl is present during nighttime hours, and she goes to a private school and there's a mystery involving a fire and the story that builds up to that, whether the two girls, there's Carly and Caitlin, whether they are really the same person or they're different people. So this is very interesting suspense thriller. Kind of want to read this in October kind of thing. I read this in October. The next book I have to share for you is The Hitman's Guide to House Cleaning by Hallgrimur Helgason. This is a book that takes place in Iceland. This is about a Croatian mafia hitman who kills the wrong person and has to flee the US, and he takes on the disguise of a televangelist priest on his way to Iceland. He gets stranded in Iceland because, you know, he went on a bogus passport and he can't really leave the country again. So he's trying to deal with hiding from the people who are after him because he killed the wrong person, and meeting the people who were to expect this televangelist priest person, coming to terms with your past and where do you go from now in this sticky situation, and trying to make a life out of it. I really enjoyed this. This is an adult read. Will the people who want him dead catch up with him, or will he forever hide in Iceland, or will he escape Iceland? Read to find out. Next we have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is a fantastic, magical read. I mean, obviously it's a magical read. It's about a night circus, and it's about a competition between two people who are destined to compete with each other for who knows what reasons. They don't know, but there's a circus, and it is just beautiful. I really love this book because it's one of those books that's so good you have to reread it. The last book on my list is Red Shirts by John Scalzi. This is a funny read. I really liked it. If you like Star Trek and things like that, you will love this book. This is about an ensign who gets assigned to this flagship of the fleet, and there's an obsession with away missions and red shirts dying, and the adventures that the low ensign red shirt group go to save their necks. I really enjoyed this book. So far this has been my favorite read of this year. Out of the 10 books I've read this year, this is my favorite so far. I will let you know if that changes. But if you're looking for a very funny book in like a sci-fi comic book, this is the book to pick up. I really enjoyed it. So this is my recommendations for standalones. Didn't realize I've read a whole bunch of standalones last year that I really liked. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, and if you didn't like some of these books, let me know as well, because I'd love to hear the contrasting opinions about such things. Anyway, I've gone on too long about this. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!